So tonight we're going to read the introduction, or a good part of the introduction, to Krishna book by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about who is qualified to hear these pastimes of Krishna. Sometimes there's some discussion about this subject, who's qualified to hear, who's not qualified to hear. Well, in this introduction, Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear that there is no one who is unqualified. So it's very, very easy to understand. His words are very straightforward, and he gives you the understanding that you are completely unqualified, and therefore you are completely qualified to hear Krishna's pastimes. If I can say it like that. So, on the page 11 of the introduction, Srila Prabhupada writes, liberated souls have no interest in material activities. The impersonalist theory that after liberation one becomes inactive and needs to hear nothing does not prove that a liberated person is actually inactive. A living soul cannot be inactive. You see, sometimes you think liberation means, wow, what am I going to do now? Oh, I'm free from that body, but the body, I was doing things. Now I'm liberated, now I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to sit here. No, activity goes on. Matter of fact, much more activity goes on in the liberated state than in the conditioned state, because you don't get tired. You don't have to sleep so much. As a matter of fact, in the spiritual world, you don't have to sleep at all if you don't want to. Anyway. So, and of course, it is there has to be a sense of humor to this, because it is so beautiful and so wonderful that Srila Prabhupada has given us this information. And if you ingest it, you begin to understand that this is all not just awe and reverence. There's a sweetness to Krishna that is so relishable and so humorous and so wonderful that a sense of humor naturally finds its way in. What I'm reading now. So a living soul cannot be inactive. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita also. He is either active in the conditioned state or in the liberated state. A diseased person, for example, is also active, but his activities are all painful. The same person, when freed from the diseased condition, is still active, but in a healthy condition, the activities are full of pleasure. Similarly, the impersonalists manage to get freed from the diseased conditional activities, but they have no information of the activities in the healthy condition. It is essential for persons who are actually liberated to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. That is the supreme relishable subject matter for one who is in the liberated state. Also, if persons who are trying to be liberated hear such narrations as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then their path of liberation becomes very clear. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of Srimad Bhagavatam. By studying the Gita, one becomes fully conscious of the position of Lord Krishna. And when he is situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, he understands the narrations of Krishna as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya has therefore advised his followers that their business is to propagate Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is talks and hearing about Krishna's pastimes. Now, I think in this next paragraph, Prabhupada says Krishna Katha 7 times. You can count them. Krishna Katha means narrations about Krishna. There are 2 Krishna Kathas. Narrations spoken by Krishna and narrations spoken about Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is the narration or the philosophy of the science of God spoken by Krishna himself. Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration about the activities and transcendental pastimes of Krishna. Both are Krishna Katha. It is the order of the Lord Chaitanya that Krishna Katha should be spread all over the world, because if the conditioned souls suffering under the pangs of material existence take to Krishna Katha, then their path of liberation will become open and clear. The purpose of presenting this book is primarily to induce people to understand Krishna, or Krishna Katha, because thereby they can become freed from material bondage. 6 times. The next paragraph. This Krishna Katha, this is a very important paragraph. This Krishna Katha will also be very much appealing to the most materialistic persons. What? This Krishna Katha will also be very much appealing to the very most materialistic persons, because Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, cowherd girls, are exactly like the loving affairs between young boys and girls within the material world. Actually, the sex feeling found in human society is not unnatural, because this same sex feeling is there in the original personality of Godhead. The pleasure potency is called Srimati Radharani. The attraction of loving affairs on the basis of sex feeling is the original feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we, the conditioned souls, being part and parcel of the Supreme, have such feelings also. But they are experienced within a perverted or a minute condition. Therefore, when those who are after sex life in this material world hear about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, they will relish transcendental pleasure, although it appears to be materialistic. The advantage will be that they will be gradually elevated to the spiritual platform. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that if one hears the pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis from authorities with submission, then he will be promoted to the platform of transcendental loving service to the Lord. And the material disease of the material lust in his heart will be completely vanquished. In other words, it will counteract material sex life. Krishna will be appealing to the liberated souls and to persons who are trying to be liberated, as well as to the gross, conditioned materialist. Isn't it amazing, huh? Maharaj Parikshit is the right person to hear the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami is the right person to describe them. If such a fortunate combination is made possible, then Krishna Katha immediately becomes revealed, and people may benefit to the highest possible degree from such conversations. This narration was presented by Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj when Maharaj Parikshit was prepared to give up his body, fasting on the bank of the Ganga, in order to assure Sukadeva Goswami that by hearing Krishna Katha, he would not feel tired. Maharaj Parikshit expressed himself very frankly. He said, "Hunger and thirst may give trouble to ordinary persons, or to me, but the topics of Krishna are so nice that when one continues to hear them about them with feeling, without feeling tired, because such hearing situates one in the transcendental position. Just hearing about Krishna takes away sleepiness and tiredness and boredom. It is understood that one must be very fortunate to hear about Krishna Katha seriously, like Maharaj Parikshit. He was especially intent on the subject matter because he was expecting death at any moment. Every one of us should be conscious of death at every moment. This life is not at all assured. At any time, one can die. It does not matter whether one is young man or old man. So, before death takes place, we must be fully Krishna conscious. At the point of death, King Maharaj Parikshit was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. When King Parikshit expressed his untiring desire to hear, Sukadeva Goswami was very pleased. Sukadeva was the greatest of all Bhagavad reciters, and thus he began to speak about Krishna's past. Isn't that amazing? We just read that this morning in the Bhagavatam. Began to speak about Krishna's pastimes, which destroy all inauspiciousness in this age of Kali. Sukadeva Goswami thanked the king for his eagerness to hear about Krishna, and he encouraged him by saying, "Oh, my dear king, your intelligence is very keen because you are so eager to hear about the pastimes of Krishna." He informed King Parikshit that hearing and chanting of the pastimes of Krishna are so auspicious that the process purifies the three varieties of men involved. And what are those three varieties? The liberated ones, those who are trying to become liberated, and the gross materialistic persons. These pastimes are just like the Ganga, water which flows from the toe of Lord Vishnu. They purify the three worlds, the upper and the middle and the lower planetary systems. Hare Krishna. That's the end of the introduction. And then we'll start tomorrow night on the advent of Lord Krishna. And hear more and more and more about Krishna, so that we will not become tired. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.